You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome. We are so excited to have you here today. If you're watching us on USA Global TV, or maybe you're listening in on Business Talk Radio, we are just thrilled that you are following us on this amazing journey. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and it's my pleasure to host this show along with the star of our show, Pscyhic Aminah. We bring you great guests and content each week, and we're so glad that you're here. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV. And without further ado, let's bring out Pscyhic Aminah. Hello.
Yay. You have amazing earrings on. Goodness sakes. Is somebody you know do fabulous jewelry, I think you talked about?
It's actually, these are not real. I'm just saying.
They're lovely. Tell everybody,
you.
And then don't give them out your address.
They are not real, but I do love them. And, you know, it's good to see you. And as I was thinking right before the show started, even though we're not supposed to give the date, because in radio and TV you don't give the date, but it is Friday the 13th. And I'm just wondering, you know, as
on the 13th.
Two psychics here. I know. I was thinking that. Is there any meaning behind that? I don't know.
That's a Dottie question. I'm so pedestrian raised. I just go, well, who cares? It's another day of the week. I've had Tuesday the 4th be terrible. So who knows?
But you know, there are a lot of people who are, you know, afraid of certain dates, or what is it, black cats walking in front of them. I don't even know. So, but that's not our issue.
Black cat. He walks in front of me all the time, mostly running.
So it just goes to show you that it's all in your mind. I guess it's all perception.
Well, in manifestation, we had somebody on that talked about that, one of my guests, and it's really, I believe this, and I think Dottie would concur, and it's where you're at. I mean, you've really gone through a lot. I met you and we were working together when, you know, you were changing and all that type of stuff. And some programs go really great and swimming, and then something, you know, the banner falls down and your sound is off. We make it work, right?
We sure do. Oh, something happened this week. I'm trying to think what it was. I think my headphones just slipped off or something. I don't know. You just have to keep going. You know, you just keep going.
Yeah,
that's how life is.
Like it's getting lighter.
I do hate wearing these, but what are you going to do?
Well, the same thing. I went to sing on a stage. Let's just put it that way, with a lot of people. And I worked on this piece, like an Over the Rainbow type song. And I got laryngitis 2 days before.
Oh my God!
I still sang, maybe not on key as often as I should have, but that was the start of. I got laryngitis like about 4 or 5 times in a row over 10 years, and so that's where it really just took my voice and that kind of stuff. But it doesn't matter. I sing for myself. Who cares? But I mustered through on that stage. You can't say I didn't do it.
I would love for you to sing for us right now. Somewhere. No. Okay.
Let's see. I'm a little teacup, short and stout. Here's my. Okay, we only have 40 minutes.
All right, that's right.
Fabulous. We can't wait to see her.
All right, so shall we bring Dottie out?
Please.
All right, let's welcome Reverend Doti Boon, Center for Creative Living. Hi, welcome.
We got to get clapping.
That's so fun. I'm on a quick little story. One of my nieces was doing, I'm a little teapot, short and spout. Here's my handle. And
here's my spout.
No, here is my handle. I have another handle. Oh, I'm a sugar bowl. Every time I hear that, I think of her and her. I'm a sugar bowl. I think we all should be sugar bowls instead of a tea spout.
That's so sweet. I love it. We do have a comment from, I hope I say your name right, Yogi Ramesh Pandey. Thanks for a great show. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate you, Yogi.
Yeah,
very nice.
On every single
and we love comments as we're going along. I think it's so interesting to feel like people are out there listening, watching, and becoming a part of our universe. And so
I
it's not
agree with you.
three of us. Okay?
Sure
really
is.
And Dottie, I of course, have a plethora of questions that I personally want to know that I think other people will want to know, because just a background for anybody who's new is I wasn't raised in any kind of psychic community at all. I was the weird kid, who just knew things and did things that other people that, was talking to all the lizards and the snakes. And, I was talking to a little spider crawling on our door the other day. I said, dear, you're going to get squished. You go that way, not this way, in the house, not a lot of food. And so, Dottie knows what I'm talking about and that kind of stuff. But I get asked all the time, and I'm not sure how to really answer everybody, because I think they're all coming from to the question, you know what I mean, at a different place, and they want to know something different. So I hesitate there too. But if you got asked, which I'm asking you, how do you become psychic? How do you just go study it? Do you pick it up on the street? Do you go read a book? Do you get an education? What would you say to a person who is really interested but doesn't feel they have a natural gift?
And just ask them, do you ever have a feeling something's going to happen, and it does? You're psychic. Do you ever have a person come up and say, I can't find my jewelry, where's my bracelet? And you just have a sense where they are. You're psychic. If you wake up in the middle of the night, in the middle of a dream, and you feel that you've been transported somewhere else, you're psychic. What it means is you are seeing, feeling, hearing, sensing things that you don't ordinarily do because they're beyond you. You're getting that information from somewhere. So what we have been using to declare what that is the word psychic. Not necessarily that if you say, oh, I had a psychic instance in my life, that you're going to go out and put up a sign with a hand on it somewhere and say psychic. It's just every one of us is in connection with the Creator. And the Creator, as far as I'm concerned, is so delighted to help us, but we just need to ask. So I'm a medium, which means that I have somebody out there helping me. His name is Mahalaleo. And Ma has been helping me since I was 5 years old. So I call myself psychic because most people, when you say I'm a medium, they want to know if you're also well done or rare, It's a whole different thing.
And at this point, you could be all three.
Yes.
I always think when someone says, "Are you medium?" No, I'm a small. I'm a large. So you can go the other way as well.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So Reverend Doti, we were talking backstage before the show that you are a psychic, but you're also a reverend. So how do those things tie together, if at all?
Very much. In fact, if you go through any religious book that you might want to read, quite often the people who are foretelling things are part of the established religion at that time. If you're in the Old Testament, you're talking to people who are Jewish, quite often that are rabbis that are predicting things. We always have had this tie-in. It's almost like people who choose to go into religious studies. It's because they're trying to find out, what's that voice I have in my head, and because they know they're a little bit different, but is it bad or is it good? Is the devil talking to me or is God talking to me? Because that, in some religions, if you hear a voice in your head, then you're possessed. For me, if you hear a voice in your head, you're lucky. There's a big difference there because it's how you look at it and how you accept it. Because when I would know, just like Aminah, I would know where things were when people were looking for them. And they'd go, well, how do you do that? Well, I just know.
Yeah.
And
everybody hates that answer too. It's like, why should I do what you said? I don't know. And I have a husband. I told him for years, no, don't do that. Why? I don't know. And then he did it. And after about the sixth time, he said, this isn't working out for me. I'm just going to do what she says. But it was that grudging. And that brought in conflict for him because he wanted to do it, didn't want to do it, and you got to let go some control. I had to, and I don't know if you did because you were so small and you had so much support, it seems like. I had to let go of my preconceived of, well, why do I know this? Well, that doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. I need to trust.
Right.
I need to do it because my guide is Gabriel, and I hear and feel his difference because being an empath, feelings are a big deal to me. So I feel the difference when he's talking.
Right. And I have people that say, well, Dottie, you told me. I had a woman call and said 25 years ago when I talked to you, you told me I was going to meet this man. He was going to be the love of my life. And he's in the hospital and he's dying. Oh. What do I do when I lose the love of my life? And I hated to say to her, I don't remember who you are. That wasn't a good time to say that. And I said, he will always be the love of your life. Don't worry about it. And we had a big talk about what happens after you leave the planet, which was great. But people seem to think that everything I say to them, I'm going to remember. Well, as my spirit guide Ma says, I am a Teflon lined funnel. And I love that because that describes when you're channeling, you don't remember it. You just bring it in and give it out to the person who needs it or who is asking for it. And that is something that is very difficult for people to realize because most people, as they go through life and they have an event, they remember it. But doing psychic readings, I'm sorry, I don't remember it because that's why I ask people to write it down or tape it.
Well, and don't you think it's healthier for us because it doesn't belong to us? I must say this over and over and over. People say, oh my gosh, you said, oh, I can't believe you said that. And oh, thank you so much. I said, just so you know, I don't own any of this. I'm simply the mouthpiece that goes. I'm just the translator. Just imagine I'm hearing, Greek or Chinese or Russian, and I happen to know the language, and I'm just explaining it to you. And you're going to put it into play or not because you have free will. Or I can present it to you and say, here's the cake. Do you want a cake?
Right.
Oh, no, I want chocolate. Okay, go get chocolate. But this is vanilla. And maybe you need vanilla. But you have free will. And I stress that so much because some people think, oh, you're going to have, especially in your business, Dottie, I would think you're working on such a personal, I'm working through their pets most of the time and their family. So I wouldn't think I'd get people worried about that you've created some voodoo or you are going to create, or they don't have free will. I have to really tell them, I said, your pet told me this, but you guys get to decide. If you choose not to train him, then you'll have a monster in your hand. But you get to choose.
Right.
Can I jump in here and ask Aminah what you and I had talked about? You said Reverend Dottie would know. What about superstitions? Today's Friday the 13th. How does that, if it's for me, I'm busy. I can't take that. So what about superstitions and
superstition have been around for centuries, since the very beginning of time. When if somebody went out and shot a saber-toothed tiger at the same time that they had a sore tooth, they'd say, oh, every time I get a sore tooth, I've got to be careful of saber-toothed tigers. And that started a whole superstition. And they start just that easy. There are superstitions that are based on actuality. There are superstitions that are based on dreams. Their superstitions are based on so many different things. Do you have to be superstitious? No. Do you like being superstitious? Go for it. Okay. I had a grandmother who was very superstitious. If you step on a crack, you were going to break somebody's back. That type of thing.
Remember that
one. And she had all these superstitions for everything. You couldn't laugh when a cake was in the oven or it would fall. It was all those different things that she had learned as a child. But during the time, there was a reason for it. When they were first putting down pavement, concrete, years ago, if you stepped on a crack, it wasn't so firm, you could fall. Yeah. It's the same thing as if you jump up and down when you're laughing, a cake could fall. All of these things had reality. And the same with the number 13. Because there were so many different superstitions around that they then put it as a date. And so then it became Friday. Friday
very
has always been religiously, Friday has always been very important because of Christ's crucifixion, because of a lot of different reasons, Friday. So now you've got 13, which is bad news, and something in your religion that was very, very difficult. And you put them together. So then you have Friday the 13th. So when you look back, it's interesting. There's books about superstitions. How did they start? I have never been superstitious, but I still have things that I hear people say that just make me smile because they're so fun.
And I don't know if this is, but Dr. Jacalyn, you go and you let us know when you got a break, because I'll bring it up when we come back if we need to do that.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. I didn't think I had any superstitions until you were talking, Reverend Doti, and I remembered, and I'm not sure if this is a superstition, but I was a huge Philadelphia Flyers fan, the ice hockey team, and they were in the Stanley Cup Finals, and I remember I had to wear black because the team was black and orange, so I wore black, and I had black and orange, and I'd have to sit cross-legged with the radio in front of me, and I couldn't move. And for the whole game, I would just sit there because I was afraid that if I moved. So is that a superstition, or is that just
very much so. And usually superstition is backed up by it working at one time. It might not ever work again, but one time it did work, and so that gets embedded that, if I want my team to win, that's what I have to do.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a superstition for you. Yeah.
I think they won, by the way. But then I stopped, I stopped following them.
Because you sat still.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. We are going to take a break and hear from some of our sponsors, and then we'll be right back. So stay with us here. This is a really interesting show. I'm glad that I've got two psychics here. It's fantastic.
On the 13th.
Friday the 13th.
We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Okay, thank you.
Hey everybody, my name is Ralph Graves Jr. I'm the host of the Ralph Graves Jr. Show, and I want to invite you to pick up my book, Unstoppable. I wrote a book called Unstoppable. It's 7 universal laws that will transform how you pursue and achieve success. The one thing that my 20 years of law enforcement has taught me is that no matter who you are, we are all governed by universal laws, like gravity. But in this book, we're going to talk about laws like the law of forgiveness, laws like the law of control, the law of intelligent practice, the law of expectancy. I was able to see how those, no matter what their background was, those who identified and treated these laws with respect, they were able to go on and lead successful lives. So pick up this book, and you can go ahead and pick it up at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, RalphGravesJr.com, where anywhere where fine books are sold. Thank you.
There are 7.7 billion people on Earth today. 40% of these people are under the age of 25. Young adults are the most fertile mission field in the world today. In Scripture, we see Jesus pouring his life into 12 young adults who he equipped to change the world and all of history. Like Jesus, we believe that the best approach to reach the world with the gospel is to invest in young, emerging leaders and equip them to build disciple-making movements. Concentric is the notion of surrounding and sharing a common center. Our center is the model and strategy of Jesus for both leadership development and ministry formation. As a global alliance, we provide equipping in biblical leadership based on Jesus' example in the New Testament. Jesus modeled for us how to make disciples that reproduce. Focusing on leadership development is key to creating movements that spread the gospel and Jesus' disciple-making strategy to young leaders around the globe. Our ministry alliance partners are actively equipping leaders and building movements of multiplication that reproduce the life of Christ. Join us today to equip young leaders with Jesus' strategy that will change cities and nations.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
Academy Sedan and Limo is a full-service transportation company serving the Philadelphia metropolitan area with full knowledge of the New York City, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. areas. We pride ourselves on being the most dependable, conscientious company in the industry. Our always on-time service and dependable pricing make us the company to call for any event or occasion. Our vehicles can accommodate any size party for any occasion. Our vehicles range from four-door sedans to SUVs to minivans to limo buses to full-size tour buses and can accommodate groups of 2 to 100. We offer airport shuttle service or over-the-road service without limitation regarding mileage or time, and no drive is too long or too far. So if you find yourself in need of transportation of any type with any vehicle, give us a call at 610-842-4564 and let us show you what a real transportation company can do for you.
Use code ACADEMY2020 to receive 20% off your first 3 rides, including parking and tolls.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Welcome back to USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. You're watching Pscyhic Aminah and Reverend Doti Boon. Our first segment. Yes.
What is this? Brady Bunch. There we go.
Never get it right. In our first segment, we covered a number of topics. We were kind of plethora of things. They were all interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. And the second segment, I thought it might be interesting, since Doti, you do wear 2 hats, to talk about your church and the fact that it is not specifically based on your religious beliefs. All are welcome. Is that correct?
Yes, very much ago. Yes.
Absolutely.
And this started, I believe, for me, because I had attended so many churches when I was growing up. I was baptized Methodist, I was baptized Episcopalian, I was baptized Catholic. My folks became Baha'is when I was a teenager, and so I really jumped into that faith and read all about it. But all the time that I was looking at various religions, I found that their basis of all of them was love. I didn't find one religion saying that people were going to go to hell for various reasons other than being mean or being bad. And I go, okay, I can get that. And then I took a global picture of the Creator representing everybody, being here for everybody. And that people need to hear that just because somebody is a different religious or somebody was raised as a different faith doesn't mean that they're bad. It doesn't mean that there's some negative thing attached to them. They just have a different belief. But the basic belief of all is of God. And however you see God, as mother, father, as a male energy, as female energy, as non-binary, there's no reason for you to feel that somebody's God is better than your God. It's like believing that the sun just shines for one person, that the sun only shines for you. That's ridiculous. We know the sun shines for everybody, just like the Creator is there for everyone. And talking to people and letting them know that they are okay with their basic belief in Creator, and not to make other people wrong if they're following another lineage of what they feel is God's talking to them. Just accept that other people hear a different voice. And it's okay.
Reverend Doti, what if someone doesn't believe in God?
That's fine, because they do believe in spirit. I have yet to meet somebody that hasn't had a spiritual awareness. They haven't gotten out in the forest and been sitting next to a babbling brook and feel at peace and calm. And there's a spiritual energy there that I say, you don't have to say, this is God. This is a spirit that I feel. This is a connection with the universe that I feel. You don't even need to name it. Just that you have a connection. At some time in our life, we all do. I haven't met anybody that I talk to that hasn't said, yes, I had that kind of feeling. And I said, and so when you take that feeling, If you don't want to call it creator, call it feeling. I have a spiritual feeling every once in a while. Is that okay? That's perfect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And nature has it all. Go out and, how many churches, I know we did this, right, with Easter and that kind of stuff. You did sunrise services and that type of stuff. That was one of my favorite times. You got up and watched the sunrise, and it's magical. It's magical, whatever you feel, and getting out there and watching the dew of the grass dry and birds and butterflies get their day going. One of
the other ones I really like is to take people from my church out and hug the redwood trees we happen to have in our parking lot, because you don't have to think of God as a human. Right. Go out and talk to a tree, and redwoods are really chatty. So you go out and you can't put your arm all the way around a redwood either, so it doesn't make you feel greater than in any respect. They're huge, and they're the oldest thing on the planet, so it's like they've got antiquity, they've got growth, they smell good, and they talk. And so if you've never talked to what you consider an inanimate object, go listen to a tree.
Yeah.
Reverend Doti, I'm just wondering, and then Aminah, I want you to weigh in on this as well. So with the pandemic, and I interview people all the time, people are lonely, people are depressed, people are afraid, people have lost their way, people are looking for something to believe in, to be a part of. So are you finding that more people, or people from different generations, are coming, I want to say, back to the church?
We're really not open 100%. We only have room for about 10 to 15 people in our sanctuary. So because we're still distancing. What I have found that people say, well, I'm so lonely. I say, call someone. Well, I don't want to what? You feel like you're going to bother somebody? Everybody I know these days wants to talk to someone. Yesterday, I talked to 9 different people. And this was unique. I talked to a gentleman from Israel. I talked to a woman from Croatia. I talked to a woman from India. I talked to people all over this country about various things, death and dying and whatever. And every day I call 4 different people. And they're different. Sometimes they're people I haven't talked to in years, and say, hi, how you doing? They say, oh, I'm so lonely. And I'd say, I'm here. What's going on? And then listen and let them talk. People say, oh, I need to have people in my life so I can, listen to people. No, you want to talk. You're lonely. You want to tell somebody your story right now. What's happening? Your aunt might have COVID, or your brother might have had a hernia surgery. It doesn't make any difference. You want to talk to somebody, but you're afraid to call or text or even get on a chat room, because you're afraid that you're going to interrupt somebody's wall, as it were. Well, we're not there now. We need people. We don't need to listen to newscasters. We don't need to watch crime shows. We need people. And people are afraid to reach out. They're afraid that somebody's going to say, no, I don't want to talk to you. I have not found that. I have found just the opposite. I just talked to a lady in San Francisco before we started. And she said, oh, Doti, I just wanted to call and hear your voice. And I said, I wanted to hear your voice too. How are you doing? She said, well, I haven't talked to you for 10 years. I said, that's fine. What's going on? And then she said, oh, well, can I make an appointment to get a reading from you? But really what she wanted was another person to be interested in her. And I find that's what happens when I'm doing readings. People want to know something more about themselves, and know that somebody cares. And this caring seemed to have gone out the window with the pandemic. People stopped reaching out to each other. It's like they felt, if I can't see you in the morning when I'm out dumping my trash, I'll never talk to you. Well, ask next time you see him out at the garbage, say, what's your phone number? I want to call and talk to you. Be a little bit pushy. People are scared of folks thinking that they're crazy because they want to talk to you. They don't think that. They love having somebody to talk to. Yesterday, I talked to a woman. She said, well, Doti, I haven't talked to anybody else in 8 months. And she says, I'm sick. I can't take care of myself. And I say, tell me something good you did today. Oh, well, I didn't do anything but pay the bills. I said, that's one of the best things you can be doing today is paying the bills. And I went through this in an hour of asking her, and what else did you do today? And by the time we hung up, she said, I didn't realize how many good things I did today. And that's right, because all she was thinking is that how badly she felt and the fact that nobody had called her. And people are doing that. They're getting into this pity party of how awful life is, instead of saying, hey, the sun's shining. Isn't that beautiful? It's a great day. And so for you as an individual, whoever's watching this, before the day is over, call somebody and say, hi, how are you doing during this time? And listen.
It's great advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Reverend Doti. Aminah, a question for you. So if someone is feeling lonely or sad or depressed, is this a great time to get a pet?
That's a hard question, because we're living the result of all of us crying when the shelters went empty, because we knew 75% of those animals will come back. Because when you make a decision, anybody, and this is perfect segue into what Doti just said. If you're going to make a slip fast decision, and I don't mean just calling somebody, that is sometimes the best thing is just do it. Just do it. But some things take a few minutes to say, okay, do I need to do this? Should I go out? Should I go to the store? Should I take that job? Well, the responsible thing is to do a little research on your own. So many people, I'm sad to say, are looking at a pet because they want to feel better. But what Doti just said that I heard is, I need to start with me. I need to realize I have had a good day. I have really enjoyed that silly TV show or the commercial that's new, or that I have food in the house, that I have a roof over my head, that I have people that love me even if they're not here. So start wherever you can. But pets are not the instant fix. It's the same as if you go out and say, there's a living, breathing person, marry that one. Well, that's not how you pick a spouse, unless you want it to be a short-term marriage. You need to go into relationships on purpose. And doing things quickly is great, but an animal is a living being. And I would say this, I feel the same way about plants. I don't want you to go in and buy a tree or buy a bush or buy a little whatever and then say, I'm gonna just throw it in the trash, I'm tired of it. Well, it had a right to live too. But an animal has a beating heart and will love you back when you are good and loving to them. Do it on purpose. Don't get an animal just because you're lonely. Because once you're not lonely anymore or you're angry, you'll just throw them out the front door. And that's what the rescues are dealing with, is people just throwing them out the front door. And luckily, if you go to the shelter, they're spayed and neutered. But so many people are like, I'm going to breed, I'm going to breed, I'm going to breed, and I'm going to make all this money. Well, somebody's given birth to all those puppies and kitties. So please, I caution you, understand that you're dealing with a life, a real life. And if it's a tree, a plant, or otherwise, please do it on purpose.
Thank you. Well said. And it sounds like, at least what I'm hearing is that we all as people have a responsibility to do work on ourselves and, find out what it is inside us that's missing and that we're substituting other things for. And it's also great to focus on helping other people, reaching out to other people. And Reverend Doti has a place where people can come together regardless of what the religious beliefs are, and everyone is welcome.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And I think I told this story last time because it was so fun. This guy walked in and he said, I'm an atheist. And I said, that's okay. You're welcome here. And he said, really? I said, yeah. And then about 3 weeks later, he came in and he said, I decided I'm an agnostic. And I said, oh, darn, we've got a whole church full of agnostics. We're excited about having an atheist. I mean, it's because most of the people that come to our church aren't quite sure what religion they are, but they know that there is a supreme being, whether you call it a power, whatever word you have, there's something there that makes you help go through the night, help through that difficult time. And so when you feel that, as I said, you don't have to call it God, you could call it spirit, whatever. Honor that you're not alone, but honor the fact that other people are feeling alone and that you have the power to help them make it through the night.
Yeah. And one last thing about the Center for Creative Living is they are very welcoming. My first day walking in the door, I got asked the standard question if I, had any specific faith, and I said, yeah, I'm Muslim. And she said, oh, I'm so excited we don't have any Muslims. That's so neat. And I'm thinking, okay, well, that's the first time I got that one, because I went through 9/11. I went through and all that, and I used to wear a full hijab and the whole thing. And so there's a lot of people yelling at me in Sacramento, telling me to go home. I finally turned around and yelled the guy back at the guy and said, I am home. And he's like, oh, white girl. So don't judge. And Dottie's, everybody there, people who go there, don't judge. They are very accepting because everybody's being accepted where you are. If you're having a bad day, if you're having a great day, if you're having financial trouble, if you're wherever you are, Center for Creative meets you at the door and says, come and join us. Whatever you want to do, and that's really, really nice because we are multi-faith. She has the speakers, like somebody who's Jewish, talk about those holidays, and somebody who's Muslim. So you're going to learn a plethora of things, and it's really, really lovely that it's so inclusive.
Well, and also we have YouTube, Center for Creative Living, and we're in San Jose, and you can go on, and we have YouTube of all of our services, so you don't even have to leave your home.
Yeah, jammies.
That love, just get on your computer and tune it in, and you'll see what we're talking about. Last week was a wonderful Reverend Monica. It was fantastic. A lot of times when you tune into the Center for Living with Dying, you're going to hear Reverend. The Center for Center for Living with Dying has a lot of reverends too, but for us, our Center for Creative Living, because our parent church, Universal Church of the Master, you can get a ministerial certificate after 2 years of study. So you too can start a church, or you can do that. So we have a lot of people who Rev is their first name. And it's nice to meet people who have chosen a church that's what the background is that we represent that peace that you might call spirit, God, all that is. And we want you to feel it in your heart.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. What a great way to end our show today and on Friday. Reverend Doti Boon, we have been streaming your contact information all along, but people on Business Talk Radio can't read it. So I'm going to spotlight you. How can people get in touch with you, and who should be contacting you?
Anybody can be contacting me. And I'm at area code 408-220-5780. And call and say, hi, I heard you today. And I want to talk to you. What do you mean call people? How do I do that? How do I get life back into my living? How do I put that joy, that feeling that life is beautiful back there? This is a really exciting year for me, an exciting month, because in 2 weeks I turn 83. Isn't that exciting? I'm really thrilled about getting older. And, I find myself saying, hey, if I can do this at this age, you can do it at 43. Okay.
I love that. That's so inspiring, because there are people, regardless of what age you are, people could say, oh, I'm 30, I'm over the hill, I can't do this, or I'm 50, I can't do this. And I think to myself, no, you can do anything that you really want to do, and you take action. That you can't just have a dream. You have to put steps down and take action and be accountable.
Exactly. And you're going to find the more people you call and talk to, the more they're going to be on your train. When you start moving, you're going to look around and they go, where did all these people come from? They came from the pandemic, when I reached out and said, hey, I want to talk to you and tell you how wonderful you are. They're going to be there for you. And it's so inspiring when you hear somebody say, oh, Dottie, I talked to you, 30 years ago, and I remember that you said whatever it was. And you go, well, thank you. I have, as I said, I have one from San Francisco that I made an appointment for. And she happened to know my brother who passed away of AIDS in late 1980s. And so she's calling me to talk to me about some things that are going on with her. And why does she remember me? Because I had talked to her and just called her because I knew she was a really dear friend of my brother and wanted to make sure she was doing okay following his death. That's the thing, too. When you hear of somebody who's in the hospital, call them. Right. I'd love to get a phone call.
If you're right now might be a little difficult.
No, but you do bring up a good point there. And I remember this in parts of my life where you hear someone's ill or someone's in the hospital or they get some diagnosis. It's like, oh, I don't know what to say. I don't want to call. They don't want to hear from me. They have their own things going on. And I remember when my father died, I remember exactly who reached out to me. And there's no judgment for people who didn't, but I remember the people who did, who took the time, whether it was a phone call, a card, coming to the funeral, the people who spoke at the funeral. So it really does make a difference.
Right. I just talked to a lady this morning whose dog died. And she called and she was crying. And she said, I want to know where he is now. And I said, he's in spirit. Well, did he think I loved him? Yeah. And I said, you know, he was a happy puppy. I know he knew you loved him. Now, I don't channel animals like Aminah does, but I could feel that energy of positiveness around her from that animal. People want to hear from someone. They want you to know that they're alive and they're not doing too well. So please think about it. For all of those that are listening and watching, just take today or tomorrow when people aren't at work and just call. Make a list of people you haven't talked to for a long time. Maybe it's somebody you went to high school with.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And just call them and say, hi.
Was thinking about you. Everybody wants to be thought of. Everybody
exactly.
Just what you said, Dottie. And you know what? From real life experience, and I bet you both have had this, you've called somebody and they've been rude and why are you bothering me or this is because they're in a bad place. But you know what? I walk away with saying I showed up authentically and in a loving way. And at some point, someday, even 5 years from now, this might matter that somebody did care. And right. I've regretted conversations the way I've responded and said, oh man, I was in a bad place and that was not cool. But it was so nice to feel like, but you know what, when the chips were down or when I was lonely and nobody knew it, they did call. They did say something. Because when my parents died, it did matter who did say something or showed up or called and said, I'm so sorry I missed the funeral. But, you know, your dad did da-da-da-da-da.
Or even I've had people call and say, you know, I didn't really know your mom, but I heard such wonderful things about her. And I will let you know I'm here for you if there's anything you need. Just something that simple.
Exactly.
Very true.
I thought of you today.
I'll share just one quick story before we wrap up, if that's okay.
Sure.
Of course.
Yesterday I was on a show and I had my co-host and I had a guest and it was a really good show. It was a really good conversation. And I noticed that the comment button kept lighting up. And so and it was all coming from a certain destination, a certain platform, and really horrible, pornographic, disrespectful things from I think 4 different people, but they kept doing it the entire show. Like it didn't stop. And I felt so sad and so upset. And I thought, you know, here I am behind the screen. I'm doing my best to bring content to help people. And, you know, there's no one really to talk to that. And I felt really bad. Like I took it all inside. And then somebody contacted me just to see how I was doing. And I thought, oh my gosh, I really need someone to talk to. Like otherwise that would have just kept, you know, I don't know how it would have manifested itself. But the point is, you just never know what someone's going through. And people, we need each other.
Exactly.
So important just to say, I thought of you today. I don't care what comes after that. Was thinking of you. Just wanted to say hi. And nowadays we can text it, ship it, mail it, put it on a bird. It doesn't matter how it gets there. Just say, tell somebody, because that can really change their day, that they were actually thought of.
If I could share, I was talking to a young man in LA earlier, and he said, Dottie, you're having your birthday, you're going to have a party. I said, sure, I'm going to have a party. And he said, well, do you always have big parties? And I said, when I turned 50, I had 350 people at my birthday party. And he said, that's amazing. I said, no, what was amazing to me is I knew everybody by name.
Yes, that
So
is
it wasn't just, come to a party. Those were all friends and family of mine.
Yeah.
That says a lot. Says a lot. Well, thank you again, Reverend Doti, for being here today. It's been our pleasure, and we'll look forward to having you back. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Well, the same to you. You do anything exciting?
I am actually doing something very exciting. I was telling Corky, I think I'm starting something called 75 Hard Challenge, which it's going to be hard. So it's 75 days of every day is the exact same thing. And if you miss one thing, you have to start all over again. So it's 2 workouts a day, 45 minutes each, and they have to be 2 to 3 hours apart. And one of them must be outdoors. And it doesn't matter what the weather is. Somebody wrote into the author of the book in this challenge, well, what if it's raining? And he wrote back, that's the whole point of it. It's to build mental toughness, right? Instead of us just being complacent in whatever it is we're doing in our lives. So that's the first thing, the 2 workouts, 1 outside. And the second is drink a gallon of water a day. And I was thinking, because water is what I drink all day, but a gallon of water, that's a lot of water. The third thing is you have to follow some kind of diet. There's nothing specific about what the diet is, but certain things are not allowed, and alcohol is one of them. And I happen to love Chardonnay, so I just drink water and Chardonnay. So now that's going to be gone. And then the fourth one is, I think it's 4. Yes, you have to take a picture of yourself every day. So if you miss the picture, you're out. You have to start over again. And then the fifth thing is you have to read 10 pages of an entrepreneurial book, something where you're going to learn about your business or you learn about you, and you have to do it for 75 days.
Wow, that's quite that's going to be really exciting to get into, because you're going to be saying, I can't, and then all of a sudden it's going to switch to, yes, I can, yes, I can, yes, I can. And when you have that switch, that's when you know you're really on the program.
Absolutely.
Apparently, it's 30 days to get over habits. So 30 days to get over drinking Chardonnay, right? I've always been working out, but I can work out for 2 hours in a row. But now 45 minutes, 2 different times when I'm broadcasting, that's a challenge. And then the water, you have to keep running to the bathroom. I can't go, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm kind of like, but I'm going to do it. I'm starting Sunday, and I put it out on Facebook, and I was looking for people to join me, like a support system. And a woman I interviewed from Dubai, she swam the English Channel, and she's done all kinds of cool things. So she and I are now partners on it.
Oh, yay.
Good. That's great.
Good. That is wonderful.
Easier to do it when you got a cheerleader on your team.
That's what we're talking about. Anything in life is easier to do when you have somebody there helping you.
Yeah.
Yes,
absolutely.
thank you. And I also think of it as it's a moment in time, right? It's 75 days. It's not forever. And if I can get through it, I think I'll see a lot of transformation as I'm growing this platform with my partners. The next 6 weeks are head down as we take ourselves over other platforms, and a lot of exciting things are coming. So I kind of think like it goes together.
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely.
Yes. Perfect.
So-
Well, we'll be your cheerleaders.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
I happen to have congestive heart failure, and I can only drink 2 liters a day of water. Of liquid
Okay.
all together. I can only do 2 liters. So when you talk about a gallon, I'm like, I'd swell up like a poison pup. But for
He
you,
did-
it works.
Well, the author did write in the book that if you have a medical condition where you can't drink all the water, then that's okay.
Well, good.
So
There
you
go.
can join me, Dottie. You can celebrate your 83rd birthday doing 75 hard challenge.
There you go.
Wonderful.
Just pour the water on your arm, Dottie. So look, that's the water. It's not inside.
I'll jump up and down in the bathtub.
There you go. There you go.
But it's been such a pleasure seeing both of you.
Are we going to talk
Yes.
about this coming next week?
Sure. Yep. I have a meeting right after this, so go ahead.
Okay, really quick. It is Catherine Smith from Muttley's, and she is an amazing writer. And we're going to talk dogs and we're going to talk about a first aid course. So come and join us next Friday, 1 o'clock. Here we are. So that's Pacific Standard Time for anybody else.
Good.
Thank you. And Aminah, what's the best way for people to reach you? I think I have the Facebook thing wrong, but I'll change it.
That's okay. That's why I put up the link. We're going to switch it. And best way to reach me is on Facebook, Bridging Worlds Pet Psychic. I put the link up, and we'll change the banner as we go. But again, Bridging Worlds on Facebook. And I'm just starting a new group off of Facebook. I don't remember what the groups are called, but I'm working on it. I'm learning it. So come and join us. It's all fun, education, all about pets.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. Aminah and Reverend Doti, I'll see you again next time.
Absolutely.
Take care. Be well. Bye-bye. Bye. All right, as we close out this week, we've had so many amazing guests and presenters. I want to tell you about something new and exciting that's coming. As I mentioned, we are growing USA Global TV. I have partners. We are working diligently, 70 hours a week at least, and what's coming is so exciting. So the first thing that's coming that's really open to anyone is the Talking Heads and the Talking Heads Academy. And this is an opportunity for you to come on and share your expertise and your knowledge with the world to help create your branding, to take your business to a new level. And we have licensing and subscription models, and we are interviewing people who want to be a part of this, because if we say you are an expert, you have to be an expert, and you have to have a professional setup, and you have to have content that people are really interested in that will really help change lives. So I am taking interviews along with my partners. You can email me, Jacalyn at drjacalyn.com, and we can talk more about what's involved and what you will get out of it and why you should do it. So once again, thank you. That's the Talking Heads and the Talking Heads Academy. Last thing is, we have a fabulous newsletter called the Global Post. This comes out every Tuesday, approximately between 11 and noon, and that is on Eastern Daylight Time, sorry. And we'd love to have you as part of that. So please, Jacalyn at drjacalyn.com, if you'd like to join our newsletter and hear about where we're going, what the opportunities are for you, how we can help you grow your business, grow your network, and find leads, please do reach out to me, because we do want to help you and have you as part of our team at the USA Global TV family. Thanks again, Reverend Doti, Corky, and Aminah. Great to see you. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.